Hey guys, Modsy here, and a very big thank you to everyone who has managed to subscribe to the channel and comment and share and like and everything. I'm getting a huge amount of feedback for the videos that I'm doing. I'm glad you guys are really enjoying it. We've got a really cool, nice Discord server up now where some of our guests are more dedicated followers are sort of chatting about video cards and other videos with some other YouTube creators that are in there as well who are actually sharing their own content and talking about all things retro PC hardware and gaming related, which is really, really cool. The link for that, by the way, is in the description. It's just free to join for anyone if you're interested in all things PC hardware or retro PC. Feel free to come and jump in and have a chat to us. We're also sharing a lot of, I guess, behind the scenes stuff in a way. Some of us, probably more so me than the other guys in a way, but definitely some of the other YouTubers are sharing some content that they're working on coming up as well. So if you want a little bit of a sneak peek at what's happening, feel free to jump into the Discord server. It is focused around our Pixel Talk podcast. However, it is more of a general retro gaming and PC hardware place as well. So it's just a little community, I guess, around us in a way. It's really, really cool. Another really cool video idea that I have had for quite a while now is starting to come to fruition in terms of how I want to film it and what I want to do. And it actually is going to involve doing a bit of a camera rig construction to be able to film how I want to do that video. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what my plans are for that without spoiling what the video actually is. Talk to you about what I'm planning to do to film that video anyway. And when I do get around to filming that one, I'm going to be doing a full behind the scenes of how I did it as well, because it's going to involve some really cool camera shots about how I'm going to film it, which is really cool. And all of it is going to be done here in my office, which I think is really cool because it's also going to be done with very little stuff. So if you want to, I guess, replicate or learn how to do some cool stuff to improve your own YouTube skills, I guess, in a way, I can share with what I'm planning to do, I guess. But I'm going to go and grab the camera and take you for a tour around the office and see what it's like at the moment, because once again I have rearranged the office completely because my needs in terms of how I'm filming and just my workspace has had to change again with how I'm actually filming and filling up this room with hardware and bits and pieces now. I now have 4 active systems in here at any one time, plus my test system. So I've had to rearrange my desks and just how I'm laying it out. So anyway, let me grab the camera and take you on a tour of this. So yeah, be right back. Alright guys, so let's go into the office and have a look around. So we have, I guess I've now got kind of a makeshift L desk in a way here, because I've had to combine the 2 desks to combine the multiple systems that I have here now and actually give myself a separate workbench to my main desk and just a little bit more walking room to get around and do everything around here, rather than the way I had it laid out previously was a bit of a nightmare for filming and for just space in general to do everything, because I just didn't have the room to do everything properly before. So these 3 cards that are here without coolers, well, these 2 without coolers, at least that's a 3DFX card. I hope you can see what they are. So we have a 9800 Pro, this is my 5770, and this is a Voodoo 2. These are my help I need fixing cards, or the cards that are here for repair at the moment. Unfortunately, my 9800 Pro got a little bit of a break on it. I may have accidentally dropped it from a very small height, and it just landed on something and popped this little solder off here. The card still works. In fact, there's nothing broken. If you do break this, you will see artifacts, by the way. But I'm just going to be resoldering that back on, and that'll be fixed. The 5770 is here because the cooler itself broke. The plastic shroud with the mounting screws and stuff broke, so I'm actually getting a separate one off of eBay, so I'm waiting for that to turn up. And I'm actually trying to attempt to repair, this is my second 3DFX card. the second Voodoo 2 that I've got. This unfortunately has some broken traces along the top of the die here that I've been trying to fix with a needle and magnifying glass. But unfortunately, it's probably, because of its microscopic size, it's a little bit out of my technical ability to be able to fix it properly. So I attempted to fix it with a needle, didn't quite successfully do it, but it's having a few extra issues. But I did successfully fix my other card, the second one of this that I have. Both of them had some issues with the traces. They were slightly bent from like damage or something over the years. But I managed to fix the other one, and it's working and running now. So, but unfortunately that one's not. Right, so new cards that I've picked up in the new year. So we have the 512 meg GeForce 7800 GTX. That one's come this year. Really nice card. It's got a really cool like flame cooler on it. It's a BFG OC card, so it is slightly overclocked above reference as well. But I mean, I saw the flame cooler on that thing, and it is really awesome and really, really nice. I had to pick it up. It looks very unique as well for that card. So this is a really cool little card here. This is actually a EVGA GT730. It's a little passive cooled card. It has 2 gig of VRAM. Has some pretty basic I/O on it. But this is like my little test card. I'm going to be doing some videos on that on the future, especially in regards to some retro stuff as well. But this card came in a big bundle of cards that I picked up, and I sold most of the other cards because they were duplicates of cards. But I kept this one because it's a really good passive card that doesn't require like extra power and stuff, that I can use in my test system when I don't want to be using one of my main cards, and I just need to do things like Windows updates, installing drivers. Sorry, not installing drivers, installing like software, benchmarks, OSs, whatever it is. I can use this card without having to use one of my main cards at all. So that's what, and it's noiseless as well. So if I need to do stuff and not have a loud card in the background, another cool reason why I picked that card up. Another card that came recently is this one just here. This is a Albitron GeForce 8800 GTS 320 meg card, and of course I've got the 640 meg bigger brother just behind it there. That card, I was originally planning on selling that card. I think I only paid like $15, $16 for it, I think, Australian, so not very much. It was a very, very cheap pickup, but I wanted to test the differences between the two cards. However, found out that there's really no difference at all, and it didn't really make for a very interesting video. So I don't know whether I'm going to keep it. I like the decal that's on it. That's probably the only reason I'd want to keep it. It's not one of the cards that I'm wanting to keep in the collection at all. I already have my 640 meg XXX edition card that I had from back in the day myself. So the 320 meg card, I might just end up selling it on eBay or something for around the same price that I paid for it. It's not really worth much more than that. Of course, another big card that came this year is the black one behind it there, the 8800 Ultra. That card did come. I did do a restoration video on that not too long ago. Very successful video, actually. That one's been one of the more recent successes in my retro restoration video series, I guess you can say. A lot of people seem to be looking at that, especially from the UK and Europe. I'm not too sure whether there's something around 8800 Ultras over there or something, I don't know. But unfortunately, I did buy that card locally here in Australia. It is a XFX XXX edition 8800 Ultra. However, it's dead. Unfortunately, it has had a blowout on the main core VRM, and it is unrepairable because it has actually killed the traces on the board, on the PCB. So the card is perma-dead, unfortunately. It did arrive to me in what I would say was working condition. However, I did test it before I pulled the cooler apart, and of course you can see in the video that there was no damage on the PCB when I pulled it all apart. But when I put it all back together and then was doing some benchmarking on it, within like 10 seconds of running the very first benchmark after I put it into my test system, the system instantly blue screened and the card just wouldn't post anymore, and it was smelling really bad. And when I checked it, yeah, it was dead. And I did a bit of Google searching online, and turns out that it is a very common issue with 8800 Ultras. There's a lot of people selling dead 8800 Ultras with the exact same problem. So sad. I did pay a little bit for it. It was a little bit costly, that card, so I'm kind of a bit regretful of that one, but yeah, that kind of sucks. Oh my god, another really cool card that I've managed to finally pick up for the collection. I did a video on very recently, the unboxing video. That card there, which is the EVGA GeForce GTX 285 or 285 Classified Edition card. I still haven't done the restoration video on that. It's still a little bit grubby and got some fingerprints and stuff on it. I'm actually waiting for another lot of thermal pads. I've gone through another lot already, so that needs a few thermal pads on it, so I'm waiting to get my new batch of thermal pads in before I do that restoration video. Another really cool card that came in very recently as well is this one here. This is my Quadro FX 4700X2. This is a really cool little card. Oh, I can't reach. There we go. This is, as you can see, a dual PCB card. It's got 2 cores on it. This is based on the G92 cores, so I think the last generation of 8800 GTs, think 9800 GTX. This is the Quadro variant of the 9800 GX2 card. This has got a very different PCB layout and design to it compared to the 9800 GX2. And this actually has a few... I'm doing a dedicated video on this in the future as well, because I've had to do a little bit of extra research into this about some of the issues that I'm actually having with it. So yeah, that card will be coming in a video very soon as well. But I wanted that one in the collection. There's not many Quadro cards that I want in my collection. In fact, I can only think of 2, and that's one of them. So I'm glad I finally picked it up, so I can do a bit of testing with that. It's kind of cool. A couple of other little cards here I picked up this year. This one here, this is an S3. I guess I should read out the full name of what this card is. It is a ViewTop Titan 5000 S3 Savage 3D. This is it's got 4 meg of memory on it. It's an S3 Savage card, AGP. I believe it should be a 2X card or a 4X. I can't remember. It's one of the two. But I'm doing a video on S3 cards sometime in the future. I've got a few more S3 cards that I want to pick up before I do that video. But that's one of the S3 cards. The other one is this tiny cool little PCI card. This is just a little Verge, S3 Verge card. Nothing too special by Jayton. Yeah, this card was brand new actually in box. So this thing hasn't even had a monitor plugged into it, except for the couple that I've had here to test it. Again, this is it's got 4 meg of memory on it. It's a little S3 Verge GX, I should say. Let me have a look. Yeah, so it's a little S3 Verge GX card that I got. This was like dirt cheap to pick up, but again, another one of the cards for the S3 video that I'm going to be doing in the future. Yes, one of these cards did turn up this year. So this is a GeForce MX 4000 AGP card. This is going to be a really interesting video because this is probably going to be my first ever ranting video about a video card, which is, well, you guys might laugh and find a bit funny, but I don't want to spoil too much more about that. And these two cards are also picked up this year as well. So we have my PCI TNT2 M64 that you see here that I talked about in my Retro 99 build that I did. This is originally one of the cards that I picked up for that. I also have a matching card. This is also a TNT2 M64, but it is an AGP version of the card. So I'm going to be doing a bit of testing between PCI and AGP to really see if there's a difference between the two. I'm not sure if I'll hang on to the AGP one in the long run. I might end up reselling it at some point down the line if I'm running out of space for anything at all. But I might hang on to the PCI card because I think PCI ones might end up at some point being a little bit rarer than the AGP ones. So I'll have to see in the future. So here I have an exploded Radeon X1900 XT. I'm doing a video on this, a really cool little small short video sometime this weekend probably, if I've got a bit of time. But it's exploded for a reason and completely pulled apart because that's how I need it to do the video. So that'll be a really cool video coming out probably next week sometime as well, just for the fun of it. I also have my main system here as well, which I've done a few little upgrades to that I don't really talk too much about my main system because well, I'm more into the retro stuff, I guess. So if you guys are interested in me talking a little bit more about this system, if you don't know what its specs are or things like that, just let me know and I might leave a comment down below about what the specs are of this. But as you can see, there is now a purple LED strip that's actually behind the water block on the Titan. So that actually glows and gives a bit of nice underglow underneath the card. I added that. I've done some swapping around of the fans. I've got some new Corsair LL series 140mm fans in the front. They're just set to green and purple at the moment. I'm not really very creative with fancy stuff. And the RGB wave crap looked like, the standard RGB stuff looked like horrendous, so I kind of color matched them, which is what you're supposed to do with RGB fans. But anyway, and then I've got the two fans that are chilling out up here. They're there because I was doing some overclocking and they just add for a little bit of extra static pressure to pull air up and out of the case. So they're there, they are just there as temporary cards at the moment. Now you might be noticing that my tablet here is looking a little, let's see if I can zoom in and actually show you. Yeah, my tablet is dead. Well, I shouldn't say it's dead. It's not actually dead because technically, if I press the button, yeah, see, technically it works. However, the screen is very much broken. In fact, I can't actually run my finger across it because, it actually cuts my finger. So, unfortunately, these screens are insanely expensive to get fixed, the official screens. I like rang around some repair shops and they were like, oh yes, it's going to be like $300 or $400 to get the screen repaired, and I'm just like, fuck that. So I'm kind of using it at the moment, and I might just pick up a new tablet because new tablets are cheaper than the cost of the screen, which is just silly. So anyway, so then we have the main desk and stuff for the office, and I've got my LED strip that's behind the top shelf there as well. Yeah, now if you guys are interested in knowing how I do a lot of the photos and some of the B-roll for my video cards and stuff that I do, I actually use this top shelf. There we go, you can see it a bit better. On the wall here I actually have a sheet of plastic Perspex, but this Perspex has got a matte finish on this side, and on the opposite side it's got a glossy finish, which means that I can have a different style of backdrop depending on what type of lighting I want to do and how I want to film. So normally I just take this off and like this is like the angle that you might see a video card from, for example, and I just get to play, or I can play around with the where is it? There it is, the remote, and just change the colors of behind that as well. But I was talking about earlier in the video about one of the special videos that I'm working on that's going to have really cool styles of camera shooting and stuff in it. I'm going to be doing filming here. However, I'm actually going to be building... So these came very recently. These are my Asus VR100 glasses. These are to match my GeForce 4 Ti 4600. I have the Asus card that has the input for this. I'm going to be doing a video on that very soon because these are really cool little glasses, and talking about the technology behind it and does it really work, and you know, etc. and things like that. Pick these up off a fellow collector from over in Europe. So I met him through eBay of all places. He's a huge collector who sells video cards on eBay, and I was talking to him a while ago about some of the cards that he's got, see if he could track down some of the cards that I was particularly looking for my collection, and he ended up finding these glasses for me and sent them over to me. So huge thanks to him, and I'll put his username up on screen, so if he does end up selling stuff in the future that you're looking at, he's well priced, so he doesn't price stuff at ludicrously crazy prices that you can often see on eBay these days, but he does price them at a modest amount, I would say, a modest price, not a crazy price. I have got a cable here. This looks like a very boring cable, but this is a VGA to VGA cable splitter, but that's going to be for a very cool video coming up very soon as well. Yeah. This here is a 120mm radiator to match it's very similar to these white radiators that I have in here. This radiator is going to be for my water-cooled retro Pentium 4 build that's going to be retrofit into my Lian Li case here. It's actually going to go into that case with my P4. That's been delayed because I'm trying to track down a particular pump and reservoir combo for that build because I've got some very limited space in that case to fit one, and unfortunately it's the only type of pump and reservoir combo that I can go with that fits in the case. So I'm waiting for that to be able to do the rest of the retro water cooling video for you, and when that finally turns up, I can do that video. So that one might be a little bit away because it's proving a bit difficult to find the exact ones that I want or need for the build. So that'll be coming in the future as well. So I have my Nvidia AGP cards. This is one that turned up very recently. This is a GeForce 256 SDR card. So it's got SD RAM instead of DDR. Finally managed to pick that up. That's a really cool card I've been looking for a while for the collection to do a very cool video on as well. Always wanted a GeForce 256. I don't know if I didn't really care if I managed to get a DDR one or an SDR card. It was more about not paying a ridiculously high price for one. And it wasn't too expensive, so I was happy with what I ended up paying for that. I ended up swapping this card here. So I did a video earlier in the year about a blue BFG card, which is a 7800 GS AGP card. Unfortunately, I ended up selling the BFG card and keeping this XFX card instead, which is the same. So it's a 7800 GS by XFX. I managed to keep, and I was using that one in my Pentium 4 build because I didn't want to keep using my 6800 Ultra in the Pentium 4 build because I didn't want to risk damaging this, and this was really loud as well, so with this reference cooler on it. So I wanted something for similar performance, but I ended up swapping over to that card. But at the moment, none of them are in the Pentium 4 build because it's actually video card less at the moment. There's no video card in it at the moment because I'm doing some preparation for the water cooling retrofit in that case. So I'm not actually using it at the moment while I plan all the water cooling stuff in it. That's the TI 4600 that I was talking about that has the 3D glasses that go with it. That'll be coming up in that 3D video or the VR 3D video, whatever you want to call it, sometime in the coming months as well. Relatively soon. I've already worked on the basic concept of the video. I just need to do like the scripting, all that kind of stuff to do that one. What else has turned up this year? So the two cards that are sitting on the shelf there. This card here is the Quadro 900 XGL, and that's another TI 4600. They're the two cards that featured in the Quadro vs GeForce video that I did very recently. I'm probably going to be selling those two cards at some point because I don't really particularly need them in the collection. They were both bought. They were both. Here we go. They were both bought as a part of two separate bundles, and I don't really need them anymore because I've done the main video that I wanted to on them. And I figured these are better off in hands of people that actually want to use these cards in a retro build, rather than just having them sitting here collecting dust on my shelf for really no particular reason. So I already have the two GeForce 4 cards that I wanted in my collection, so I'm going to be shifting those at some point. Two other really cool video cards that I can't believe I managed to pick up, especially one of them, is these two here. So this is a 9600 XT. I had one of these back in the day for a little while before I switched to a 6600 GT. I went from ATI, of course, across to Nvidia. Managed to pick up this really nice one with a nice Asus aluminium cooler on it, nice cool fan and everything, a nice orange PCB, kind of unique looking one. Probably one of the nicer 9600 XTs if you ask me, better looking anyway. So I managed to pick that one up for really, really cheap, which is kind of happy with that. It's a good price for that card, kind of a nice, nice card as well. But this card here, oh boy, if you've been following my channel ever since I first started getting into retro collecting, and even my very first collection video, this is one of the main cards I have been trying to find now for 2 or more years. In fact, more than 2 years I've been trying to buy one of these cards. Before I actually started doing the retro collecting and I wanted to build a retro system, this was one of the cards I was looking for to build in that set. So that's this is a Hercules 3D Profit Radeon 9700 Pro. It has the original heat sinks on it, has the original fan on it. Unfortunately, this does have the shim problem. So, of course, on ATI cards, they have that silver square shim that goes around the die. The glue on that can actually lift, and actually raise that shim higher than the level of the die, which was a big issue for coolers that didn't account for that, which meant that the coolers would be lifted up off the die and they would the cards would obviously overheat and die. So this card has that problem, but it is not dead because it's not quite as bad as what some of the really bad ones were. So at the moment, I have this original cooler on it, but when I test and use that card, I actually put my spare 9800 Pro heatsink on it because it has the allowance, it has the deeper heatsink that actually hits the core and misses the shim. So it means I don't have to take a razor blade to the die at all and risk damaging it to take the shim off if I want to use the card. But this card actually has all the original heat sinks on the memory, and also, ouch, it also has all of them on the back of the card as well. So it has the one that's on the die, like the die part, not on the die, but on the back of the PCB behind the die, and on the memory as well. And I actually can't believe that this card here I paid the least for. I've tried to buy 5 other 9700 Pros, all for anywhere between like $20 to $50 Australian. I paid $19 Australian for this card plus about $8 shipping. I am ecstatic that it is the cheapest 9700 Pro I've attempted to buy. Not only that, but it is the exact model of 9700 Pro I wanted to buy, the Hercules 3D Profit one, with the original coolers and everything on it, and it's working. I'm like ecstatically over the moon that I finally have that in the collection. That's a really epic card I managed to finally find, and that will be coming up very soon in a retro history video. I cannot wait to film the retro history video for that card. Another card that I managed to pick up this year is this one here. This is from a friend of mine. This is just a pretty basic this is a X700 Pro, so it's nothing too special, but it is the AGP version rather than the reference PCI Express version. I added this to the collection because it was just donated by a friend of mine. Going to be doing a bit of testing with it and seeing just sort of how much performance it has and things like that, but I've actually got my sights on another X700 Pro by Sapphire. If I can manage to find that card, I will probably end up selling this one or maybe giving it away or something to you guys if you're interested in it. Because it was donated to me, I might actually end up giving it away actually, now that I think about it. I might give this one away to you guys at some point in the future if I manage to find the Sapphire card to replace this one. So then we come on to the PCI Express ATI cards that I have here, and I've picked up a couple this year. This one here in particular, that one there in particular I picked up as well. These two cards here I'm glad I managed to get. They're both really cool cards. So this one here is a Radeon HD 6970, really nice 2 gig model card. This is such a nice looking card, this one. It is, let me see if I can actually brighten it up, there we go. You can see it's got these really nice, like the faded thin red lines on it to match like the Radeon, oh, bump, there we go, to match like the Radeon, oh, almost dropped the card, that wouldn't have been good. Yeah, this is a really, really nice looking card, and I managed to get it for a pretty good price as well, so not overly expensive, I think, because this era of card falls in that category of it's too new to be classed as retro in any way, shape or form, so they're not highly sought after, because they're also not very good for modern day games at all. Like they're not bleedingly edge, like these are sort of like your like hand-me-down era cards where it's like the second PC or whatever you have might run one of these, like your home theater PC these days. So you can pick cards up like this really cheap. And I managed to find this one in really, really good condition. It's got the reference cooler on it, but it also has this nice metal Asus shim on it that has it's like I guess a shroud that's on top of the plastic. So this piece is metal, which is really nice. Yeah, it's probably the only version of a 6000 series Radeon card that I wanted to get if I could not find one of the original reference model Asus cards. Reference model Radeon cards that has the Radeon decal and stuff on it, which are really hard to find. I believe there's like, they're only review samples. They didn't actually sell those ones with that decal to the public at all. Another card that I picked up was this one here. So this is, as you can probably see, this is my HD 4870. Really nice card. This is in practically brand new condition. It's quite hard to find these without scratches and stuff because this is actually painted on the, like there's the clear red shroud. This is actually painted onto the shroud, and quite often these reference cards are scratched and damaged, and they're very hard to find in very clean and practically brand new condition. That one I managed to pick up for a really good price, and there is not a single scratch on it anywhere. It is in immaculate condition. Really happy with that. It is just a 512 model card, so it's not too special. It's not the 1 gig model, and it's not anything special, I guess, but it's just in mint condition. But it fills out the ATI lineup for the PCI Express cards that I wanted anyway. The other cards that I picked up are this one here, for example. That is a Voodoo 3 2000 PCI card. That's the card that I mentioned very recently because that's the card that's featured in my Retro 99 PC that I built. I've got it sitting on a shelf at the moment so I can show you guys, but normally it's actually inside of that system there. That's the Celeron-based Pentium 2 era 99 build system chucked under the desk there. That has that card in it, which is why there's a little fan attached to it. Another card that I picked up very recently is this one here. If I can actually zoom in for you guys. Oh, there we go. So this is a Voodoo 1. This is just a 4 meg version, so it's not rare, I guess, in any way. It's not very valuable. I did pay a little bit for it. It was a nicely priced version. It's definitely a lot cheaper than what you can find most of them going for on eBay, but this is just a Diamond Media version. This is in fully working condition as well, so it's not dead, which is, I was kind of scared that it would be given its age, but it's fully working. I played a bit of Quake 2 with it, a bit of Unreal Tournament 99, and it works, so really happy with it. So thank you very much for watching, guys, once again, and I can't thank you guys enough. Feel free to, as I mentioned, jump in the Discord server and come and chat to us. Our very next Pixel Talk podcast, by the way, is going to be a three-way calibration. No, not calibration, collaboration. We are going to be 3 people on the Pixel Talk podcast, which actually going to be filming next week. Holy crap. Oh god, that's next week. That's going to be a busy week next week. So yeah, stay tuned. It will be filmed early next week, and then I think it should be live the weekend after that. The weekend following that, by the time we actually edit it and get it all together, because a little bit of extra work with the 3 of us. And it's going to be hosted on my channel this time, and it will be 3 of us. I don't want to spoil much more about it, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video. Bye for now.